It is my pleasure today to welcome a director whose work I have admired for many years and who's actually in LA and joining us on the Arabology show. أهلا وسهلا فيك يا زيد, Abu Hamdan.
أهلا بيك, Dr. Ramzi. Thank you so much for having me and for this wonderful introduction.
Welcome to California, Habibi. You're in LA. I'm at Stanford, and this is such an amazing opportunity to speak with you primarily because of the amazing success that your latest film, Daughters of Abdul-Rahman, Banat Abdul-Rahman, it has taken the world by storm. MashaAllah alayk ya ibni, what a movie, what a cast.
زيد شفت أبوي؟
نروح نرقص بعرس البنت وابوكي ضايع مختفي. قلتوا نسيتوا انه نكون احنا بنات لحالنا بالبيت؟ ايش يعني اذا بنات لحالنا زينب؟ شو يعني بنات لحالنا؟
Did you expect the film to reach this kind of popularity when you were making it?
Well, first, thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear you say this too. Honestly, when I was making the movie, I didn't, I was of course thinking of like how things would affect the audience, the audience here or back home, ولا بالأردن. But I didn't expect it to be this passionate and this intense, maybe because to me a lot of the moments that I thought will stay with me in the film did come across to people, because the film is also not only from the pain of like my mother and her three sisters or other women that I know in the Arab region, but also as part of it is my pain. So I feel like I'm very happy, I'm very blessed to have all this reaction. I'm overwhelmed.
So, I mean, most of us watched the film in the cinema, which was really nice to actually, I mean, this played in Arab cinemas in the world. It didn't just go to, online platforms. It really reached a record number of cinemas in the Arab world and beyond. How is that experience of watching your film in a cinema with an audience?
Honestly, every single time it's like the first time, and I'm so like protective over like my film and the message, and like I love the audience so much, so I would fight so hard to be like like there in any screening. Sometimes in just like regular cinema screenings, I'll just like pop in if I was in Jordan for a few days. So I really enjoy that part, and I don't want to say now in retrospect, I don't want to say I'm surprised. I'm not saying because the film is great, but I'm not surprised because people have had enough. People are just saturated with the lazim and what should happen and the rules and regulations and tradition, all this stuff. So people are so ready and thirsty to have somebody, scream for them in a way, which is in this case like the cast in my film.
And talking about the cast, I mean, what a superb cast. How did you do it? Saba Mubarak, Farah Bsieso, Hanan, Hillo, Maryam Basha, all together. How did you get all these amazing women to sign on to your amazing film?
Well, I mean, I feel very happy and blessed that I had this opportunity. First of all, the script, I auditioned for 5 years. Like before the producers were on board, I was always auditioning, always looking for, new faces or some people that I think are suitable for the role, until I was thinking of Farah Bsieso since the moment I started writing the script, like her voice. But back then I thought like, oh, come on, like Farah Bsieso is not going to be in your first film. Like I would like say that to myself, just like not dream too big. And then eventually she was, Saba, after she joined the project, she also suggested her name. And I was like, this is crazy, because I thought of it too. And then eventually Farah said no at first, because she said, I don't want to get back to the industry. That's it. Like she's left that behind for 6-7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And her comeback was actually in Banat Abdul-Rahman. So after she read the script, she was like, if there's a role that is worth coming back to the screen, it's this one. And of course, to me, it's like one of the happiest moments of my life.
And she plays the role of Zainab.
Mhm.
who is, the first character we see, the one who's living with her father, Abdul-Rahman. Now, we're going to be very careful, Zaid, not to give away the plot or the ending, obviously. But, speaking of Farah Bsieso, didn't she play the mother on the Netflix series, Mo?
Yes, that's correct. She did. After her comeback with Bnat Abdul-Rahman, she started, people knew immediately that Farah is back, and somehow, the link happened, and she played that role, and it was amazing.
Yeah, because she's in Banat Abdul-Rahman. She is in the series Mo on Netflix, which has just been renewed for a second season, And then let's move to a powerhouse. Her name is Saba Mubarak. For those who don't know Saba Mubarak, she's known as the Meryl Streep of Arab cinema sometimes. How did that connection happen?
Saba, I had kind of spoken to her through festivals. I didn't know her personally, but I would really go to all the festivals that I can go to meet people and producers to find somebody to believe in this film, because there were so many producers that loved it or they agreed with it or most of it, but they said we don't think this is producible because it's very pointed and it's they were afraid of the reaction of people. And anyway, this is a different story where the comedy goes in to keep the film, even if it's pointed, keep it, make it work.
Yeah.
So basically, and eventually I met Saba. I was thinking of her for the youngest sister actually in the film for Khitam at first. And then we lost contact. And then 2 years later, a producer, a common friend, put us in touch again. We talked, she's like, I want to produce this. And they believe in the message of the film. And then she played the part of Amal.
Wow. And I mean, we heard that she changed herself even physically for the role.
We had we made this of course she got a lot of training, kind of she trained herself. We worked a lot on the movement, and when you're a certain shape or size, it's you need to know how to move in a bigger size or bigger shape. So we created also a fat suit that she would wear in rehearsals.
Wow.
And the fat suit was so hard to work with because it would get so hot and there would be ice packs inside, but she is such a professional. She really powered through it, and you saw what she did.
It's a testament to you and to her, because I watched it and I said, wow, Saba Mubarak gained a lot of weight for this role. Talk about committing to a role. But we just found out now that, it wasn't necessarily that. But
she was also letting herself, at that time, she was like, I'm going to let myself go a little bit. Maybe I'll gain a few pounds too to help, So it was a bunch of things that worked out together. And
amazing. And then we go to Mariam Basha, who plays Khitam, the youngest daughter. And here I just have to interject and tell you that her father, Kamil Basha, came to Stanford, Zaid, back when his movie The Insult, قضية رقم 23 was being nominated for an Oscar, and he was here at Stanford, and he rocked the house. I didn't realize that his daughter was following in her dad's footsteps. Now, she's an established actress in her own right, and her name is Maryam Basha. Can you tell me a little bit about how she got involved in the film?
Well, Maryam was a godsend, honestly, because I had already had an actress to play the role of Khitam, and I've been rehearsing with this actress. And then, like, just a few days before production, there was a scheduling conflict that she didn't know about. So we couldn't push production, and we were like, we have to shoot in 3 days, and we don't have a Khitam. She's one of the main characters.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a crazy, online audition thing. And, a lot of actresses were sending me auditions from Jordan, from Egypt, from Palestine. And she was one of the auditions that came from Palestine. And I was literally watching them between takes, when I'm shooting. And eventually, at the moment I saw her, I was like, just fly her in right now. And they were like, do you want to rehearse more? I said, nope, I don't have time. I see that, I feel it in her. So she came, and the first 2 nights we spent overnight talking about the character, and then she was just fantastic.
Wow.
And by the way, what you saw of of Maryam Basha in Bnat Abdul-Rahman is not even scratching the tip of the iceberg that is her talent.
Yeah. And then there is the actress who plays the role of Samah.
Habibat Albi, Hanan al-Hillo. She is يعني amazing, this human being.
Hanan and Hillo really, like in that movie, is the most flamboyant, most funny character, but then is also has this other side where she brings a tear to your eye. Not easy to provoke these emotions in the audience. Can you tell me a little bit about her, and for Western audiences who may not be familiar with her at all, like where did you discover her for this role?
That was a funny story. I think the biggest number of auditions I made was for this role, for the role of Samah. And every time there was something that was not 100% clicking until I received her reel, her show reel, and somebody was like, check this actress out. I looked at it, I was like, I'm not sure, but let's see, you know, and do a Skype meeting, أيام Skype, الله يرحمه. And then as soon as I saw her on Zoom, she was just like completely the opposite of Samah in the film. She was like, you know, she's a total hippie. She was like smoking, had like dreadlocks with like baggy pants.
Wow.
And then we were talking, and I just something felt like the energy that I want is in that actress. But then we had a challenge because I said, but listen, your face is so natural. I need to like fill you up a little bit with, you know, like some cosmetics because it's the character.
Right.
She was very resistant at first until she was like, she did it. And we gave her the heels to practice on because she never wore heels before for like 3 months. So it was, and she's so wonderful to work with, really. She's amazing.
Wow, Zaid,
Like all of them.
I mean, you were able to get these 4 women, these 4 amazing actors from the Arab world to work together. You directed them so beautifully. And the film, as you said, is very hard to define because it's got such funny moments, but it's also such a poignant commentary on the status of women in the Arab world, and goes against the stereotype of certain women that we see in the West, while at the same time calling out for women's emancipation. How much of that was part of your vision when you attempted to create what I'm going to call a very feminist film?
Well, this really was something that I wanted to. So the script took 7 years to write. I was like writing and developing, and then as soon as it gets close to somebody who like almost wants, you know, thinks that it's ready for production, I back off and I stop it. So it took a while for me to let it simmer in my head, to not only understand my mom's pain and my pain as a man in the Middle East too. Of course, there's nothing compared to the situation of women. Because some freedoms are just granted to us as men. There's like no questions around it, whether women have it much worse. But also I identified my own frustrations, my mom's frustrations. And then throughout the writing process, I sent a survey to 300 women of different backgrounds, like different, you know, economical, religious, political, social backgrounds, and marital status in Jordan. They were answering anonymously. And what I saw there, what I found is that all these women did not want to talk or discuss. They just wanted to scream. And to me, that resonated because in a way, I kind of wanted to do that at the, you know, on a certain level because of the lazim of what should happen, you know, at this age, at this other, you have to dress like this, you have to walk like this, you have to be like this. You're the eldest son, you have to do, you know, fill in these, check this checklist, and then all this stuff, you know, that we know that happens in the Middle East. So and then I only thought, like, how would it affect women? And then when I talked to my mom and her 3 sisters, I realized that they had way more. And I think of these women as strong and amazing and crazy in the best possible way. Like I love their who they are, and they made me the man I am today. But at the same time, they had so many long lost dreams and hopes and things that my successes are making them remember. In a way, you know, so
wow.
That to me really puts everything in perspective. And when I started the research about the film, I thought, like, I never thought of my mom as a whole, fully fledged human being that had a whole life and love and letdowns and happiness and all before I was even conceived on this earth. So when I really thought of that, it took me to a different dimension, and I started writing the film from a place of extreme truth, from kind of interpreting moments that I lived with my mom and her three sisters, especially in fights, and like what I noticed. So, and how they love each other despite everything. So I don't know if this answers this question or like I deviated.
It totally does, because
yeah.
my next question was going to be, how these characters are based on, women, in your life. And it seems to me that your mother is central, and that we see parts of her in each character. But I didn't know your mom had three sisters. So we're talking about four women there as well.
Yes, the film is definitely, the characters are inspired by my mom and her three sisters. Their stories are not exactly the same. Some of it like is from real life, but the storyline is different. I think it also encapsulates a lot more women than I thought it had, sadly. But yeah, interesting is that when I was growing up around these women, I feel like part of what I received is not only what I saw, is like the feeling, because I was also the firstborn son in my mother's side of the family. فأنت عارف الخالات, بتخانقوا, everybody's fighting who gets a piece of me.
البكر.
Yeah. The bikr that comes with like all this good stuff, and then it comes with like more rules and regulations. But anyway, so yeah, and when my mom and her three sisters watched the film, and the way it affected them was, to me, honestly, the biggest fulfillment that I can get from this journey.
We keep hearing about films like yours, which don't shy away from using what we call the colloquial tongue, the language of the street, the language of the real people. And we keep hearing about these kind of films being sort of attacked by certain society segments, let's say. Case in point is Al-Hara, another Jordanian film that's now available on Netflix here in the US, but that has garnered a lot of criticism for that. How were you able to manage to sort of avoid that kind of binary thinking?
Well, I mean, I wish I could say we completely avoided the backlash from this, from like few members of the parliament, basically, in Jordan. But honestly, the thing is, like, this is a conversation that I don't know if anybody should be having at this point, because like this is reality, and this is how people talk, and this is who we are. And films are like, people still have this notion, I don't know where they get it from, especially in Jordan, that films are supposed to be like almost like a marketing tool for the country, and how beautiful and magnificent it is, and how flawless it is. And God knows we are way far from flawless. I'm not just talking about like us Jordanians, but like everybody has flaws too. But these are our flaws, and these are real flaws. So like, for example, the reason why Al-Hara pissed a lot of people off is the cuss words and the heavy language, what people considered as heavy language. I see it as very realistic. In my film, what was funny is that people were more pissed that women are doing the things these women were doing. Yeah. It's not even about Samah's 5 cuss words in the film.
But let us say that the film actually not only addresses women's issues and empowerment and equality, but also other marginalized sexualities. Was that part difficult to kind of suggest and write without being too, let's say, explicit?
Honestly, I have to say yes. I had a few filters when I was writing it, and I wanted to take it to a different place. But then I thought it's not really about the explicitity of that topic. It's about that this is something that does exist in this world, and it's the story of Samah, not the story of her husband. So we're not going to go there and stay there. But I wanted to say it in a way that is almost in your face or unapologetic, because believe it or not, a lot of people might not even notice that detail. Like, in another country, we got a feedback suggesting what we should do in the phone call she gets, like what, making it what we always see in all the series and stuff. So
yeah, you did such a good job. جوزك مش مهتم بهالنسوان ولا بأي ست. And I think that is where you can read between the lines. I'll leave it at that, Zaid. Let me move on to world distribution. I mean, this film is such an important film. It took the Arab world by storm. love it or hate it, people went to see it and left changed and transformed. So when are we going to get to see it in the West? What's going on? And how can we bring you to Stanford to bring us this film, perhaps? Are there any plans at the moment to kind of bring it more to Western audiences?
Yes, hopefully now we're distribution is working on a certain on a few deals, I think, or just discussing a few deals about like Europe and the US. So the film will be here soon, probably first in cinemas, maybe in select cinemas, and then it goes to Netflix, hopefully. And I'm so excited to potentially be in Stanford and present film with you there and meet the students. That would be such an honor.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, I have to say, I've always been partial to your work, Zaid, to your vision, just to the way you make films. And so my students, by definition, have had to learn all about your films. And here, I want to go back to a movie that immediately captures students' hearts here. This is way before Bnat Abdul-Rahman, and it's a little gem of a film that is a sure winner when you want to introduce anyone to Arab cinema through short film. That is Bahiya and Mahmoud, that film that you dedicated to your grandparents. It remains to me a classic. Can we talk a little bit about that film? I know it's a little old by now, but to me, it's timeless.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. Honestly, like your words are, they mean a lot to me. And thanks for being, also supportive since the day you started watching my work. So I really, this means a lot to me. And Bahiya and Mahmoud to me actually never gets old for some reason, because I also have a lot of I shared a lot of beautiful moments with people when this film happened. And these moments were when they tell me, oh my God, I'm going to call my grandparents right now and tell them that I miss them or I love them. And that's exactly why I made the film. So that film was a love letter for my grandparents, and they did watch it also. Now my grandfather has passed away, Allah yarhamu, a few years ago. But when the film was out, they watched it in the cinema in Amman. It was like playing before another film. And my grandmother, like, of course, I introduced her and my grandfather, and everybody was happy for her. And then after that, she started telling everybody, but Mahmoud is the bad guy, like, don't trust him. And she was really like serious about it. She's like, لا بس هو انت لو تشوف شو بيعمل لي بالبيت. I'm like, تيتا بس.
Which is exactly what the character is in the film. Seems to me, Zaid, that you like to draw on your immediate surroundings, on people around you when you create films, whether it's your grandparents in Bahiya and Mahmoud, whether it's your mom and her sisters and daughters of Abdul-Rahman. To you, it seems to me that is why your films translate so well. We see our own grandparents in Bahiya and Mahmoud. We see the kind of constant bickering that is really just a sugarcoat for love underneath.
Love takes different shapes than we know it today sometimes.
And I think that also summarizes Bnat Abdul-Rahman, who, despite the differences and the clashes and, love ends up winning without giving away the ending, Love ends up winning at the end. And I think that is why you are Zaid Abu Hamdan, our baby, who is changing the world through his films, Habibi. And we will see you soon here, inshallah, in person, Habibi.
Inshallah, I can't wait. Inshallah.